Hello everyone and welcome to my Bachelor Nation 24 channel, I hope. Everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The Golden Bachelorette. Is Joan Vassos considering moving to Kansas to be with Chock Chapple? She's spending a lot of time there. The Golden Bachelorette's Joan Vassos has been spending a lot of time in Kansas with Chock Chapple, and it's raising questions about their living arrangements. Joan, a 61-year-old private school administrator from Maryland, made her television debut during Jerry Turner's season of The Golden Bachelor. 72-year-old Jerry ended up marrying 70-year-old Theresa Nist, but Joan was given another opportunity to find love on national television. She was cast as the Golden Bachelorette and headed back to the Bachelor Mansion. After the meteoric success of The Golden Bachelor, fans were clamoring for a female-led version of the spin-off. The highly anticipated premiere of The Golden Bachelorette Season 1 found Joan greeting 24 single golden men outside the mansion where she had met Jerry a few months earlier. That night, Joan met Chock, a 60-year-old insurance executive from Kansas, and the rest is Golden Bachelor history. Though they initially said they'd be moving to New York, Joan has been spending a lot of time in Kansas. Read on to find out if Joan's moving to Wichita. Joan and Chock have been going back and forth between Maryland and Kansas to be together. They spent Thanksgiving at Joan's house in Kansas, then celebrated Christmas at Chock's house in Kansas. Recently, Chock posted Instagram photos of him and Joan hanging out in Kansas. Though they've said they intend to find a place together in New York, Joan looks so comfortable in Kansas that it's possible she's at least considering relocating there to be with Chock. Chock owns his own business in Kansas, so it would probably be impossible for him to move. Joan's job as a private school administrator would be easier to transfer to a new state. On the other hand, Joan's career as a public figure has been taking off since she got engaged on The Golden Bachelorette. So Joan may transition out of education. She's been steadily increasing her social media presence. She currently has 181K followers on Instagram, and Chock is no slouch at 76.8K followers. After getting engaged on The Golden Bachelorette Season 1, Joan and Chock wanted to bring their families together. Joan has 4 adult children with her late husband. Joan was married to Joan Vassos for 32 years until he passed away in 2021. Some of their 4 children have children of their own, so Joan is a grandmother too. Joan never expected to find herself having to date at her age, but that's exactly what happened after her beloved husband fell ill and died. For his part, Chock has 2 adult children with his ex-wife, Chock Chapple, to whom he was married for 12 years until they divorced. Joan and her children hosted Chock and his children at her home in Maryland for Thanksgiving. They seemed to have a great time and got together again during Christmas in Kansas. Joan and Chock decided to keep both of their homes and wanted a third place in New York. That was their original plan, but Joan may have fallen in love with Wichita. Though Joan has seemed to enjoy spending time in Kansas with Chock, the Golden Bachelorette will probably not be moving to Kansas. With some of her children and grandchildren in Maryland, she'd have a hard time leaving them behind. Joan and Chock's unique living arrangement includes them going back and forth to be together and eventually sharing a third place. They've even been looking at property in New York City. Hopefully, the long-distance relationship won't grow unsustainable after the fresh excitement of new love wears off. Joan Vassos, the luminous lead of The Golden Bachelorette, has captivated audiences with her charm, grace, and unapologetic zest for life. At 65, Joan embodies the spirit of a modern golden era heroine, proving that love and adventure have no expiration date. But lately, fans of the show have been buzzing with one burning question. Is Joan Vassos seriously considering a move to Kansas to be with Chock Chapple? Rumors have been swirling ever since Joan began spending a suspicious amount of time in the Sunflower State, and not just for the show's tapings. A love that blooms in the heartland. From the moment Chock Chapple made his first impression on The Golden Bachelorette, viewers were intrigued. The 68-year-old retired farmer and part-time woodworker from Kansas had a quiet confidence and undeniable warmth that made him stand out. While other contestants tried to win Joan over with grand gestures and flashy declarations, Chock's approach was refreshingly grounded. He brought her wildflowers from his own meadow, shared stories of his late wife with heartfelt sincerity, and even taught Joan how to whittle a wooden heart during their one-on-one date. "There's something about Chock," Joan admitted during a confessional in episode 5. "He's steady, kind, and makes me feel like I've known him forever. Being around him feels like home." Their connection deepened as the season progressed, culminating in the highly anticipated hometown visit. Joan traveled to Chock's sprawling farm, where she was greeted by the rich scent of freshly cut hay and the sight of golden fields stretching as far as the eye could see. Chock introduced her to his 2 grown daughters, his mischievous grandchildren, and even his trusty dog Duke. It was during this visit that Joan experienced a glimpse of what life with Chock might look like, a life filled with simplicity, love, and roots planted firmly in the Kansas soil. The Kansas connection. Since filming Wrapped, Joan has made several trips back to Kansas. Initially, fans assumed these visits were tied to production or post-show commitments, but insiders close to Joan have hinted that her trips may have a more personal motivation. Joan has been spending a lot of time with Chock off-camera, a source revealed. She's fallen in love with the pace of life in Kansas, and Chock's family has really embraced her. She's even taken an interest in learning about farming and rural living. Joan's Instagram feed offers subtle clues about her Kansas adventures. Recent posts show her savoring homemade pies at a local diner, attending a community barn dance, and even participating in a charity event to restore a historic schoolhouse. One particularly telling photo features Joan perched on the back of Chock's vintage tractor, her radiant smile suggesting she's more than comfortable in her new surroundings. A city girl's dilemma. Despite her apparent fondness for Kansas, Joan's potential move would mark a significant lifestyle shift. Born and raised in bustling Chicago, Joan has always been a city girl at heart. She's accustomed to a world of art galleries, fine dining, and the hum of urban life. Yet, as she's openly shared on the show, Joan is no stranger to reinvention. "Life is about seasons," Joan mused during one heartfelt conversation with Chock. "For so long, I thrived in the city. But now, I find myself craving something quieter, something more meaningful. Maybe this is my next chapter." Chock, ever the gentleman, has been careful not to pressure Joan. "I'd love to have her here," he admitted during a post-hometown interview, "but I want Joan to make the decision that's right for her. If she chooses Kansas, it'll be because she truly sees a future here, not just with me, but with this way of life." The practicalities of love. Beyond the emotional aspects of a potential move, Joan and Chock must also navigate the practicalities of blending their lives. Joan's family, including her 3 children and 5 grandchildren, remains rooted in Chicago. While she's confident they would support her decision, the thought of being so far away from them weighs heavily on her heart. "My family means everything to me," Joan shared in a candid interview. "But they've also encouraged me to follow my happiness. They've seen how much joy Chock brings into my life, and they've reminded me that love is worth taking risks for." For Chock, the idea of leaving Kansas is on.